We have an eighth grader that told us last year, he's an eighth grader now, but he told us last year that he likes to troll the admin by watching the GC meetings. I'm on the admin on YouTube.
All right, we're live.
Okay, so I'm calling the meeting to order at 5:55 p.m. on August the 20th, 2025. And do we have a quorum?
We do. 5 of us.
Okay. Next item is adoption of the agenda. Do I have a motion? Okay, sorry, Veronica. That we adopt the agenda. May I have a second?
I'll second. You got it.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. So the agenda is adopted as presented. Next is the approval of the summarized minutes of our last month's regular meeting. Has everyone had a chance to review them?
A couple of corrections.
Okay, far away.
I did not attend the July meeting. And then under the time for the meeting to be called to order, it's just a place of 5:43.
Got it.
And then one last thing, under finance report, there wasn't anything for finance, it said finance report was approved, so I don't.
Oh, at the very bottom. Yeah, except that's always left there.
Mhm.
Yeah. Good catch.
Those are the three.
Any other corrections? We have a motion then, to accept the minutes as corrected.
Motion to approve the corrected minutes of the July 16th regular meeting.
Wait a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The minutes are approved and accepted as modified, corrected. Public comment, and we don't have any more for public comment, right?
No one online.
Okay. Comments from council members.
I'll go ahead and make some brief comments. You guys have probably noticed our new business. That one of the first item of business is to remove Marty Prosa as the president due to health related concerns. Obviously, it's something we never want to do, but she's been quite ill for nearly a month now. She's been in and out of the hospital. I understand she's currently in the hospital. And so we just realized at this point, she really needs the time to heal and not be stressing out from running this organization. So we decided to the council really needs an active president right now, but we're going to be renewing our charter in a little over a month. A lot went on. So really, we wish her the best and hope she comes back to us just as soon as possible. We're not going to make any attempt to remove her from the council just as the president at this point. Hopefully gives her the space that she needs to heal up.
Any other comments? Next item is the head administrator's report. Ms. Christie.
Thank you. Fabian's getting it pulled up there. So our current student enrollment is 355 students. We have a little less than we did in July, which we anticipated because it's not unusual that people enroll and then they don't show up on the first day of school. But we had some of that happen, and then we had other kids come in, and it's always a little bit of a shuffle at the beginning of the year. we seem to be settling in, and we're about anywhere between 19 and 23 students in each classroom, so that's looking pretty good. And we have seen an increase in our kindergarten enrollment, and then some fluctuations on all the other grades. So we're currently sitting at 355. Our budget is at 376. So we do anticipate that we will have a budget reduction after 40 days. When I met with the academic committee last year, there was a request to provide some additional information as opposed to just what are our current numbers, but also looking at what is the turnover. So wanting to know like the percentage of students who've left since the year began, percentage of teachers leaving over the summer, percentage of teachers leaving once the school year begins, et cetera. So I pulled together some additional information. We are at the beginning of the school year, so I thought it was a good time for me to be able to start collecting the requested data and to be able to report on it. So what I did is I looked at 2024-25, so the 24-25 school year compared to the current school year, 25-26 school year. And in looking at that, 83% of our current 1st through 8th grade students attended AKCS last year. So that's a pretty good number. I think that's a good percentage of students of our current students who were here last year. And obviously I didn't include kindergarten because kindergartners weren't here last year. So I did not include those into that calculation. Of our educational assistants, of our current EAs, 100% of them were also here last year. Of our current teachers, so looking at general education, special education, and related arts, 86% of our current teachers were also here last year. So I think we actually have four new teachers this year. And all of our support staff, 100% of our support staff was here last year. And 100% of our current contracted employees, I only looked at the ones who directly work with students. They were 100% of them were here last year as well. So I think that those are really good numbers. I think those are strong numbers in terms of consistency for the school.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I also pulled together some student demographic data because the academic committee had requested some information in that area as well. So this is based on current enrollment. So special education, 30% of our students are in special education. 6% are English learners. We have a pretty good split between male and female students, 51%, 49%. 56% of our students are Hispanic, 89% are white, 12% Black, 6% Native American, and 3% Asian. I do not have access to the economically disadvantaged data right now. So that's why that's not.
And the 89% and 56%, is that because they identify as Hispanic and white or something? Okay.
Yeah. Right, because one's a race and one's an ethnicity, and so you can have both.
Okay.
Any questions on all the numbers part of this? Just demographics, enrollment,
Do
anything?
you have a theory as to why non-teaching staff is 100%? And I'm putting the EAs and the non-direct run classroom staff is different than teaching.
I do, and because we had teaching positions that we were not able to fill last year.
Okay.
They became vacant mid-year and we weren't able to fill them. And so we had to fill them at the beginning of this year. Yeah. All right, building and playground improvements. Hopefully when you guys drove in, you can see some improvement happening out there. We're very, very excited to see things happening. I love the green on the windows, gives the building a nice pop of color. It looks really nice. Fencing has been improved. There's all kinds of stuff. I put a list. So we have new turf now on both playground and in front of the school, and the kids love it. Everybody's like, it's so soft and squishy, and they roll around. They just love it. All of the windows have been sealed and repainted. New fencing has been installed. They are in, the gates are in various stages right now. Some of our parking lot gates are like partly done. We're waiting for panic bars to come in. So like things are, they're in the works though. So that's coming along. All of the drainage areas have been upgraded and they're looking really nice, and the gravel's been installed, and then they're putting some kind of I don't know, I guess there's some kind of glue that they put on top of this gravel that kind of gets down in there so that the gravel, it's not as easy to like move around and stuff. So that's still in process. That's still happening. Right now, we just have the kids off the gravel areas because of that. We've already ordered all the materials for the new shade canopies that will go over both play structures and the balcony. The FRP, or like the type of tile that we're gonna install in the bathrooms, that's been ordered, and the deck for the balcony has been ordered. So once all those things come in, then there'll be that new wave of things happening. Signs are that's still also in progress right now. I think that's coming a little later. They're prioritizing some of these other items first, and the reason being is because we haven't gotten the permit for the signs yet. It's a different type of permit than it is for the other things, so they're having to work through the items that they can based on the permitting. So we were able to fully open the East Playground before on the first day of school, so that was super exciting. We were really, really, really worried that we wouldn't have a playground at all. But we were able to open it, but we had to come up with an alternate recess schedule because this North Playground only opened today. So that playground has been closed for the last few weeks. So what we did is we worked it out to where every student was able to have some outside time, at least one recess per day. And then they would have at least one recess per day inside. So we balanced it out and made it work so that everybody had some access to some outside play time. And then today, the other playground opened, but with restrictions. We have some areas that are still not able to be used, but we had a lot of very positive feedback, and there was very excited little kids today. Any questions about the construction? I know that, that's a huge financial investment that you all approved, and so I just want to make sure if there's anything that you're wondering about that I didn't report on.
Just that you're to be commended for getting it done so quickly.
The company has done a really amazing job of, they're here a lot, and then they're really trying to work around our schedule so that they're not here as much when the students are. They're here more on the weekends, which good and bad, because then the work doesn't go as quickly, but at the same time, then I don't have that headache of dealing with contractors on campus when kids are here, but for safety reasons. All right, we've already had 2 volunteer trainings this month, and I'll let Anna and Danielle talk about that because they facilitated both of those trainings.
Our gig, huh?
It is okay. I think we had a pretty good turnout overall.
Yeah, 31.
We offered one in the morning, we offered one after school, we're trying to make sure we reach people really can come, and yeah, it's going great with our new process. I think we're getting a lot of volunteer people approved.
That's impressive to me. That's almost like 10% of our students have somebody volunteering.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
good.
it's very.
All right, professional development. We've already had 5 professional development days. We have another one coming this Friday. We've done a ton in a very short amount of time. The calendar was not ideal this year because we lost our family jumpstart day, which gave the teachers a full day to really be in their classrooms and then kind of greet families throughout the day, but not in a way that was where they just had more time to work, basically. And so we had to do PD in 2.5 days this year, and then do a meet the teacher event. It was way too compacted. It was very stressful for everybody. So something that we're gonna have to really keep our eyes on for next year. But we were able to do some training from an organization called AKCS. Danielle, do you want to talk a little bit about that training?
Yeah, so also the exciting thing was we were able to tap into a grant, so it was free training for all of our staff. So it was all teachers, all EAs, some of our ancillary folks as well. And so, the teachers and EAs were broken up into two groups because the underlying principles and the strategies are exactly the same, but the training aspect and the lens it was looked through is a little bit different. So there was an elementary version and then an adolescent version. So our staff were roughly broken in half pretty evenly. And everybody was able to attend. So we did it on 2 Fridays, 3 hours each Friday, and everybody got a certificate of attendance. And everybody that participated, once they do the surveys, they get kits for their classrooms. And so we had a lot of staff that were really excited about jumping in and using the strategies and working with the program.
We've also done spent a lot of time working through things like collaboration with their classroom team, going through student information and data to make sure they're prepared and know where kids are so that they can really understand how best to meet their needs. So we've done a lot. We've gone through like school-wide expectations and procedures. We've had to have some email information go out because there just hasn't been enough time to do everything in person, but I think it's still good. We've had a really good start to the school year. Even with the construction, we had the very first day, we chose the theme of be flexible. That is the theme right now, be flexible. And we just talked about all of the things, right, between federal funding, because that was, still trying to not knowing what that looks like, looking at student enrollment and how that's going to impact our budget. Looking at some of the adjustments we had to make to staffing because of that, with all the construction going on. And so, we just really talked about state of the school, essentially. So that the staff really had a sense of where we are. But people have done a really exceptional job of just going with it. And I don't feel like morale's down because of it or anything. I feel like people are working hard and really doing an amazing job. On day 2, we had one of our themes this year is go for the green. And so we talked a lot about go for the green. So of course, our school colors are green and white. And so this is kind of a twist on go for the gold. And we use green a lot. We have running in the right direction tickets, which are green. It's part of our positive behavior intervention supports. When we look at academic data, and when a kid is proficient, it's in the green. We talk about kids being in the green zone when we talk about the zones of regulation. So we talk about green a lot, and with it being a school color, we adopted the theme this year of go for the green. And so that's being used in various ways throughout the school. So that's been a lot of fun to add a new element. So beginning of year assessments are happening right now. Our 3rd through 8th graders are taking their beginning of year iReady assessments in both reading and math. Teachers are in the process of administering the developmental reading assessment to students who are new to the school. And then our 1st grade teachers are in the process of administering the dyslexia screener to all of our 1st grade students. The big change for this year is that iStation is now a Mira. So we have a new testing platform for kinder through 2nd grade. This is adopted through the state. It's pushed out through PED. So this is a statewide thing. Mira now has a built-in tutoring component, and where kids are like reading into the computer. So we've had to order headsets with microphones for the kids, and so there's a diagnostic piece of it, but then there's this tutoring component to it. And then the program is adaptable based on the student's input. And then this person that's on the screen, her name is Amira, gives them feedback and interacts with them. So we'll see how that goes. We've been doing some training with it. We're anticipating that we'll be able to start the DOI testing with it next week, but we have to make sure that our headsets come in, because that's a whole new way to manage testing with the little kids. So that'll just look different. And but so far the rollout's been pretty smooth. The biggest hangup was we had to wait for AKCS, because we're under the AKCS umbrella when it comes to state testing. And so we had to wait for them, and they're on a little different timeline than we are because they start later than we do. So they're calling it BOY testing, but it's a little later than what I would consider beginning of year. But we're going to make it work. Charter renewal.
I feel like I have to ask this for Dave. Is the ice station changing to a mirror going to affect our ability to compare year-to-year data?
Probably.
It's enough, Steve Road.
Yeah. He's gonna let that.
Change his spreadsheet. His spreadsheet.
I did talk to the IA station rep, who's now our Vera rep, it's the same person. I did talk to her about this dip in first grade data that we've been seeing, and she was gonna gather some more information for us, and I just need to follow back up with her. But she said that, they have been seeing this in other schools and districts as well, and particularly with students who are already proficient or scoring higher. And because then they weren't continuing to make as high of a gain, and then therefore their data was reflecting that. So, and so she was, it's kind of hard, like, what is it worth at this point for them to take it anywhere, right? And to provide the feedback, because it's changing across the state.
But it would make us still better, that,
Exactly,
that it's not a problem with our end.
exactly, yeah. All right, charter renewal. So we rolled out the petitions of support for households and for employees. We have the petition of support from employees is completed. The petition of support from households, we got, I don't know, like 65% of our signatures during Meet the Teacher, and then we've been able to catch people in and out. So we'll have that taken care of with no problem. AKCS today actually just reached out to me to schedule a renewal check-in visit on September 4th. They just want to kind of come in, see how we're doing, see if we need anything. So that's coming up. The application, the charter renewal application is due to AKCS by October 1st. There's a lot of very specific information about what we are required to submit and in what format. So my goal is to have that application completely done so that I can present it at the next board meeting, because it does have to be approved by the board. So that's the goal, is to have that done so that we don't have to have a special meeting or anything. And our charter renewal site visit is October 2nd from 1 to 3, and our GC president is required to attend, which is kind of what prompted us making sure that we had somebody who's able to act in that capacity. Any questions on charter renewal?
The petitions of support from household employees, is there like a number that they need, or?
Yes, we are required to have 75% of households and I think 80% of employees. I forget the exact number for employees, but it's slightly different.
So it's not an easy task.
Yeah, but we're pretty close.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
Employees would be easier than households.
Yeah, yeah. We have Kelly, our secretary, on it, and she's already, because I have a way through our student information system to print off all of the households, so we know who the families are, cross-reference it to the petition, see who we're missing, and she'll be like, they're in the walk-up line right there, like, I'm gonna go grab them.
You come in.
Yep. All right, dates coming up. Friday, we have professional development just for teachers this time. August 26th from 5 to 7, we're having our foundation annual planning meeting. August 27th at 5:30 is our first PTA general meeting. September 1st, we have Labor Day, so no school, but then that Friday, we'll have a K-8 school day. And then September 11th is curriculum night. Lots and lots going on.
So you basically don't have a personal life at night.
No, like never. I've been working since 4:30 this morning. I've been here till like 7 the last 2 nights.
What's
Yeah.
like breakfast?
It'll get done. And then charter renewal will be over. And we'll slow down and then the next thing will come. Right, that's all for me.
Okay, I'm assuming we got all the questions out on the table while we were going through it. Any other questions? Okay, Foundation report.
We actually do not have a foundation report
Okay.
tonight.
So we'll move right on to committee reports, and we'll start with finance, facilities and human resources committee.
Okay, today the finance committee met and we reviewed the June and the July financials. This included items like the bank statement, the bank register, large items, so any payments we made over $5,000. We go through, we just make sure the PO's there, checks are signed, all that kind of stuff. We also reviewed the June and July budget expense summaries, and we all received copies of those. There were several journal entries in June, there were several journal entries, and then the setup journal entries in July to set up the budget expense. We do not have any bars tonight, but we do need to approve the two different sets of financials. So, any questions of anything that you reviewed?
I just want to point out the AED one-stop shop, that's for pads and batteries for our AED machines. That one pops up maybe once a year. There was one more on this list. Can you scroll down again?
Was it the Advantage?
I think so. Yeah, I think.
Rapid barricades and security, is that our security system?
Which one?
Rapid
Rapid
fire.
Uh-huh. Build Volume was actually a new vendor this year. That's our we bought a 3D printer for Makerspace. And then, yeah, that directional ad Vantage Holdings, we've never seen that one before, but it was an ad that we placed in the mall. I forget which one.
This is often a time where we see memberships and dues and things that we have to pay, so there was a hefty one over like almost $6,000, which was membership dues, and then our accounting software we'll see next in the next months, and so we see some of those things pop on in the June, July.
Standard restaurant supply for 22,000. That was the oven we bought on line 92. And that is up and running.
Okay. New one was like storage cabinets and other stuff, other
Mhm.
items for classrooms.
Yeah.
Barry?
Do you see all those big amounts like
He's a handyman.
School Outfitters, Discount School Supply, like Veronica mentioned, Uline, those were a lot of the big purchases for what you guys approved we could spend at the year end here. Yeah. Sarah J Painting was a good one. She does the paint touch-ups and wall touch-ups throughout the building.
Did you share inventory software in here? How much was that? I heard you guys.
I want to say it's like
Lost for six.
I want to say like 1,100 maybe. I think that's on next month's. You could take a peek at that. And then you'll see ones like that number 31703 and things like that. If I had to bill for anything or any fund money coming in, that's what you're seeing when you see just a number like that. Any other questions? Okay. This one looks beautiful. The 24,000s that you see all highlighted there, they all have zeros, percentages, which is good because they revert at year end. So it means we spent it down with the exception of Title III, but we talked about that $9.50 quite a few times here. That it's just really hard to spend that fund down to zero. And then Fund 31200, that's our lease assistance. And we also utilized all of that as well. So everything that reverted at year end, we spent down with the exception of the $9.55. It feels good.
Any questions about Judy? Other questions? No, I would make a motion to approve the June financials as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Okay. For July, you'll see quite a few that say like the USDA. It's April, May, and June on here. So we got a lot of our reimbursements for our food program, and that's very typical for July that they're trying to close out any payments. Just keep in mind, like once the year starts, they're on about a 2-month delay. So you probably won't see anything till, gosh, we started July 31st. We had a food service session. So you probably won't see it till September. Harris Computer Systems, that's our accounting software.
Go Guardian Edio Inc.
Edleo's for our website.
Guardian is our, the software that we use to monitor students while they're on their Chromebooks.
Mhm. ProCare is our extended care software. And then I know WASP is on there somewhere. Where was WASP?
No, I just think you gotta say.
Lost was on the last one.
Was it? Did we miss that on the last one? I know we already approved it, but if we could just show
It was like 2,000 amount or something.
It just doesn't print very good reports at the end of the year.
there it is. You're right.
I'm wondering if-
626. Yeah, $1,100 for our inventory software. Yeah. Thank you, Fabian. And I think that's really Saul Urbina. He's our janitor. And then things like 24120, that's PPLN, and 24106 is IDEAB. So I reimbursed for those, and you can see the money came in for them. And I think that's really it in terms of highlighting items on that page. Okay, I have to talk to you guys about this one. Because I'm sure some of the numbers you're like, what? For operational, you see how it says 74% there? Keep in mind, this is July and I haven't encumbered salaries till August. So even though it says 74%, you're gonna see that drastically decrease because now I've encumbered all the salaries for the year on the next report. For the food service one, so 21,000 is the federal side. 21100 is the state funded side, and it looks like it's so highly negative. What happened was I made a purchase order July 1st, but I did a revision this month because our amount awarded for the state side actually changed. But because I did that like change now in August, it looks like it's doubling the amount here in July. So that's not really, I didn't really set aside like negative 130% of the budget there. You'll see that fixed next time too. It's just a difference in when the PO was created versus when I did a change order on it, which we do throughout the year. That's not atypical. You can also see our federal funds this year. We have Title II, we have the preschool one and IDEAB as well that we've set aside. And it's at 100% because I haven't started allocating them yet. So that'll be something that's a work in progress. Keep in mind, Title II only really happens like twice a year too. It's kind of more stipends based that we've done before. So you probably won't see that hit till like November, December, and then again in May on that one. So that one kind of comes in chunks, whereas the other two I can kind of spread out throughout the year. Yeah. And I will have bars next time for budget adjustments that are needed, but we didn't have any today. Any other questions? Well, I make a motion to approve July as presented.
Second,
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes to accept it as the report is presented. So we don't have any bars, right?
Not today.
I guess we're moving on then, right?
Yep.
Okay, nominating and council professional development committee. I sent you all. Oh, I don't know exactly when, a couple weeks ago. On probably the 8th or the 9th of August, some training opportunities. for professional development, that, can be kind of hammered out in an afternoon, 2 Fridays in the month of September. And I believe I gave you all the, PO. So, my recollection is I think that you need to register by the 1st of September. And it's all done online. I think. So I hope that some of you will take advantage of it.
And it's live on a
Yeah, like
weekday or
Friday,
Friday.
Friday afternoon. From 1 to 3 on the 5th and on the 19th. And there is some overlap on the second, training session. But, you'll still get, credit. I think the way this is worded, we'll probably get credit if we attend both of these sessions, you've finished your obligation. So. The training credits are, effective governance, legal ethics, policies and procedures. And, they're recommending that, everyone take the classes. They're targeted really for board members. And board treasurers and, school leaders, and we're all school leaders. So. But there will be more, because this is just the first, of many, I'm sure, that will be coming through. And then I believe in December, if they do the same thing as they did in prior years, it's either November, December, there will be, an opportunity to go out to Tamaya and spend the day and get everything done. But I haven't heard anything yet, on that, and I think Miss Christie will probably get it before I do. So, as soon as she gets it, she'll send it to me and I'll get it out to you so that you can plan the day, but it is a full day commitment, and some of you I know can't do that, and rightly so.
The Canva trainings will continue the online.
It should be, but I haven't gotten any schedule on that
Okay.
yet. I think it's a little too early for them to send it out.
That conference that you're talking about had, it's the, Public Charter Schools of New Mexico that puts that on, and that conference right now is scheduled December 10th through the 12th. But I do not know which day will be dedicated for governing council, and I don't know the location of the event yet.
I'm just assuming it's Tamaya again, because they do such a good job and they have such good facilities. But it might not be, because it might be cost prohibitive, who knows? At this point.
And the canvas usually last year came out like mid-September.
Yeah.
They started
Right.
sending.
In about a month, you should be seeing it, yeah.
That was a good training this year too. The online event was really good.
Good.
Good improvements from the previous year.
And I think everybody now is just at the 5 level. Yes. Which brings us to, the, nominating, committee. I'm still looking for members, for the general council. And now that the school started, I'm hoping that we'll get some interest. And we'll
Yes.
see.
It would be good if we could get another one on, because as long as money post is out, it could lead to some quorum issues.
Yes.
Because quorum is 5 if we're 8, which we are now, and quorum is 5 if we're not. So we get another person, it would sure help us ensure we make quorum.
Yeah.
Because we know Monty is not gonna be at meetings for a while, but she still counts towards our quorum. So to the extent we could get another one, I think would
Yeah.
make all of our lives more
And,
manageable.
Those of our members who can't attend in person, we need to encourage them to do Zoom with us, because they count for the quorum.
Yes.
So, and I know there's some cases where, they're not in an area where they can, get good computer, reception, so. Normally we may have one, but this time we have 2, which is, a little scary. Okay, so we'll move on to policy committee. I don't really have a report other than from last month, we postponed the two issues that we were talking about, the audio and video recording prohibitions and exceptions and the student electronic devices. We postponed them to this meeting and we're going to postpone them again to the next one. There's just been too much going on and we haven't been able to get with Sue, right? So, that's on the top of the list to do, this coming month, but we felt that last month that we had to have some more discussions with her and they just have not been able to occur. Okay, so let's talk about strategic planning, baby.
All right, so since the last time we met, of course, the Strategic Planning Committee's priority has been to review our mission and vision. So we had a meeting, we collaborated and built a first draft of some changes to both, or particularly the mission. Then Christy took that and has been able to get stakeholder feedback, did a very thorough job of that, brought back those recommendations. We met again this last Monday and we narrowed that down to a couple of options that we would like to move forward with for approval tonight. I believe, given how many folks have been able to look at it, the majority of the folks in the room today have been able to see it, but want to see if there's any last things. I'm going to put those up here. As I do that, for those who maybe haven't been in those discussions, Christy, would you be willing to give some context to the input that you got?
Do you want me to do that here, or do you want to do it when we get to the new agenda items so that we can take action on it, or do you want to
Gotcha.
combine it?
Whatever y'all think is most appropriate.
We could combine it, and since we've already done it, and we do have an action item, we can just take the item of new business 9H at the same time that we take committee report.
Okay, all right, yes, all right, I'll go ahead and talk about it. So, so we met with the strategic planning committee met and took a look at the current vision and mission and proposed a change to the current mission, and really with a focus on what are we doing as a school, and how do we plug that in, and how do we really talk about what are we doing as a school in a way that makes sense to prospective families or current families. And then I took that proposed change to the foundation, met with the foundation. They made a slight adjustment to the proposal from the strategic planning committee. Neither group had any proposed changes to the vision. I was not able to meet with PTA prior to the strategic planning meeting. I wasn't able to meet with them until today, so unfortunately I wasn't able to get PTA's feedback, but I did get staff feedback. So I did meet with the entire staff last Friday, and we worked this through with the entire staff, which was quite challenging, quite honestly, but it was good. It was good, right? Like I told them, like, they're the people who have the boots on the ground and they're the ones living this every day. And so I felt like their feedback was really, really, really critical to this process, because they're the ones who are doing the work, right? And there are people on our staff who are like, I don't even really know what this word means. Like, what do we mean by this, or what do we mean by that? Because there's different ways it can be interpreted. So they worked in table groups. Each table group provided their feedback in terms of like whether they liked the revision made by the strategic planning committee or the revision made by the foundation, or if they had some adjustments to either of those possible revisions, or maybe they had their own brand new ideas. I took all of that and was able to narrow it down to 2 proposals from the staff. And then based on that, admin then worked through and made 2 proposals as well that was all presented back to the strategic planning committee. The majority of the revisions were on the mission. There was one group of staff members who did have a proposed revision to the vision. And that that was also presented to the strategic planning committee as an option. It was the only one that was proposed. And so the strategic planning committee took a look at all of that, and then based on that, made a recommendation that you're going to see now. Do you want me to go through what's here, Fabian?
Yeah, if there's any particular like highlights that, as you distill down all of that input that you want to bring forward for the current.
Yeah, so you know, I think in terms of really thinking about the mission in particular, really wanting to think about how do we narrow this down? And Danielle did a really good job with the staff of helping them really wrap their heads around this. And she did it in terms of like, what's your elevator speech? And when people say, where do you work? Work at Alice King Community School. Oh, what's that? It's a charter school. Oh, well, what's your focus? What do you do? And then there's usually silence, right? Because then it's like, how do you articulate all of this? And so Danielle did a really good job of helping people think about it in terms of that elevator speech. And so we really tried to drill down to what is it that we do as a school? What is it that we're truly trying to accomplish? I went back to the first renewal application that had a lot of really in-depth information about the school and programming and all of these pieces, and pulled out a lot of words from that too. Because in doing this, yes, we want to modernize and we want to make sure we're capturing what we're currently doing, but we also don't want to stray too far from what we're intended to be doing, right? So it's kind of a balance with everything. We really thought about at the core of what we're doing, what is the absolute core of what we're trying to do? And we decided that is to provide a safe or supportive and rigorous multi-age learning environment. We want kids to grow, we want them to thrive, but we want this to be a safe, supportive, rigorous place for students. And that's what we're doing. We're doing that. So we decided that was like the core, and the multi-age is the core of what we're doing. That was really the thinking behind where are we going with this. This proposed mission, quite honestly, is a little longer than I think we really wanted it to be. So that part we're not super thrilled with. The proposed vision we shrunk down, tried to get that into a single sentence. And when the strategic planning committee met, the idea there was that they liked the shorter vision, because when you look at research on vision versus mission, your vision should be shorter, your mission should be longer. The vision is, that broader picture of being future focused, and should be something pretty short, where the mission is much more specific and detailed. And so it may take more words to explain that. It ends up being a little longer than I really wanted it to be, quite honestly. But it was hard to condense everything. And so I like it, but I'm also like, I'm torn also. It's hard. It was a really, really difficult, challenging thing to try to take the tidbits from everybody and try to bring it all together. So where we're landing, I'll just start with the vision. Our current vision is to join students, parents, educators, and the community to produce an educational environment that nurtures, excites, and motivates children to learn. The school empowers students to become independent and responsible thinkers, fosters academic and moral excellence, and promotes creativity. The proposed vision is the vision of Alice King Community School is to empower students to become independent and responsible thinkers, to foster academic and moral excellence, and to promote creativity in an environment that encourages empathy and respect. Okay, and then I'll go ahead and just read the current mission and then the proposed mission, and then we can talk it out. The current mission is to provide a school where students thrive academically and socially in a multi-age setting. This mission will be accomplished through a strong educational program based upon a structured curriculum supported by discipline and mutual respect. The commitment of the students, parents, educators, and community will be utilized to achieve these goals. The proposed mission is to provide a safe and rigorous multi-age learning environment where students grow and thrive. This mission will be accomplished through a strong educational program based upon an enriched curriculum that provides authentic learning experiences while integrating real-life applications that foster critical thinkers, problem solvers, confident learners, and leaders. Empathy, mutual respect, and kindness are taught to enable students to develop into positive contributors to the school community and beyond. The interactive and involved educational experience for all students is accomplished by encouraging the commitment and active partnership of families in the school learning community.
I can tell you that from my perspective, being on the committee, the very last line of the proposed mission is we were originally, the vision had that idea in there too. Who helped us accomplish our vision? And we took that out of there because it's already in the mission. And so we wanted to make that vision a much more active state, less passive state. But I think it's clear that we value the input of all our families in the entire community, and that they help us do it by keeping it in the mission.
Is an enriched curriculum, is that like a term that's used a lot?
So, okay, so we've had a lot of conversations over the years about how we feel like families of students who are very high, who are proficient or advanced, end up pulling their students, and we were not sure why. We're not sure why that's happening, and because we truly are meeting every kid where they're at. We have gifted students who are thriving. We have kids who are very, very high functioning, who are excelling in all kinds of ways. And so we are meeting them where they're at. And so we were trying to really think about what are things that parents are looking for when they're shopping for a school, right? And we really want to be able to articulate that we do provide this rigorous, enriched curriculum and learning experience for students. And so the idea of enriched is just really about, it's an enriching experience, and that's going to look different for different students, right? And so, but enriched is a tricky word too, because I think that a lot of people think about enrichment classes, and that's not what we're trying to do. So, and this is the challenge with writing all of this, is every word we talked about, well, it could mean this, it could mean that, somebody could interpret it this way, and so they're also tricky.
I was just saying it like the choice of words there. If you're reading this as someone coming to the school, I don't know if they would know what that meant. And so that's, kind of could be confusing. I don't know.
We talked about that in the committee, both that and rigorous, because we wanted to make sure we did have verbiage that would draw parents of advanced. So, the parents, that they know that they could bring their kids there and have absolute top level education.
So it's kind of like the benefit of using the word enriched is greater than the potential risk of folks maybe define it in a way that we don't want.
I don't think that anyone will define. I think that
Or
people just
interpret it in a
won't
different way.
understand. But yeah.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Veronica, you good with it?
I am, you can tell that it's a lot of work and thought has been put into it. We started talking about it, like, was it last September? And we knew how just those conversations are, so it's longer than you would expect, but I like it, I don't.
It is, and I'll just be honest, and I shared this with the strategic planning committee. I mean, I met with the staff on Friday. Monday rolled around and it was like, try to compile all of this information. It's not where I want it to land, but it's what we were, that's where we were at by the time our meeting rolled around Monday evening. And so it's not like there's pieces that I still would adjust and tweak at this point, but it's hard. I mean, we could go on for days and days and weeks and weeks and months.
That's the thing with it. My experience in running these kind of things over the years is you can keep chasing that perfection, you won't get there. And at some point you gotta stop. And so long as we feel that we're good, or we can stop now, then we're good.
And we're at that point because we need to provide data as part of our charter renewal.
Yeah.
And as we were meeting on Monday, we couldn't think of, well, what would we take out? Which one of these concepts do we not want to be in there? And we thought, we don't want to take out these concepts. Could we wordsmith them till the end of time maybe, but nothing that we would want out of here.
That was part of my assignment after the meeting, was to just do a little wordsmithing here and there. And
Make sure we were good on grammar and everything.
on grammar, and I added, like on the vision statement, it just started with Alice King Community School. Well, I wanted to mirror what the current one was, so vision of, and I made some, just small little tweaks, because I could have spent forever, and I think, Christy did a great job of consolidating all the input that she got.
I love when you can get the kind of thorough stakeholder feedback that you got. I see too often organizations that do these things very top heavy, very top down, and then folks can't see themselves in it. So it's very wonderfully done.
Well, I heard it said, like, just the perspective, like, if you are a prospective family looking forward to, is this a school for me versus current families? And I was reading it through the lens of, we were a family, right? My son went through here, and I still feel like both vision and mission still apply to those type of things. Like, it was rigorous. Every time he had to be challenged and pushed forward, we had that opportunity was given to him. The enrichment stuff, I think about makerspace, I think about the art stuff, I think about, it's not just your humdrum, we're not just focusing on, technology, we're not just focusing on this specific, just mathematics, like, we have offered a variety of things that it's not just that for curriculum, but other things that, when you think about curriculum, it's just enrichment and the different opportunities, and we hear, like, our parents talk to us about things like the playground equipment or things that they want to see here, and we try to respond to that as quickly as possible. And so I was reading it and looking at it in the lens of course current, but also I think it still holds true just to those families that have come through here. And I do like it. We can always change it, but I feel like it is something that we can.
Yeah, and there's a lot of words that came up from the staff, like having social emotional learning in there, inclusion, project-based learning. But some of those words that we talked about, like inclusion means a lot of things to a lot of different people, and trying to narrow that down is tricky, right? So and then social emotional learning. I mean, there's other ways to say what we're trying to accomplish through that. So there was some very deliberate word choices, and that also give a broader picture that I think we were able to accomplish through it. Project-based learning, instead of saying exactly project-based learning, we said that we're doing authentic learning experiences while integrating real life applications. I mean, that includes project-based learning, but it's more than that, right? And it encompasses more of what we're doing outside of project-based learning, because project-based learning is one piece of what we do. It's not what we're doing all day long, every single day, and including project-based learning into the mission makes it sound like that's all that we do.
Right, and we put it to modernize it too, you know, project-based learning and emotional, social, and inclusion. They're buzzwords that have been used
For a long time.
for a long time, and we wanted to bring it more forward. And,
I saw the, wasn't able to make the meeting because we were traveling, but I saw the original where you had like 10 different versions, and I think you guys synthesized it really well. I was just commenting on the enriched, I just didn't know if that was like a specific word, because I think you guys had like structured curriculum or
We
something.
did, and that word was causing confusion for a lot of people. Even the staff was like, what do we mean by that? What are we doing?
Okay.
Yeah, so I do think Danielle had a better word than what's currently there. I don't know if you can scroll to the proposed mission. But in the very first sentence, Danielle's suggestion, which I like better but didn't get it plugged in here, is that the mission is to provide a supportive and rigorous multi-age learning environment as opposed to a safe. Because it's like safe, supportive, and rigorous. It's really all three, because the safe and supportive, they're not completely exchangeable. But because they can mean different things. Like, I'm thinking safe in multiple ways, like physically safe, like with all the, like, literally we're trying to keep kids physically safe, but we're also trying to keep them emotionally safe and providing that safe space so that they can learn. So with supportive is also like, it's rigorous, but we're gonna support you to get there. So I think that's also a really, really good word to have.
so we should add supportive then?
And that's my suggestion, and that's like one of my suggested edits at this point.
I also didn't think it was too long. I mean, because your mission statement was concise. I think that's really not too long for a mission, or for a mission statement, so.
They're not reasonable.
So safe, supportive, and rigorous. That's what I changed it
Do you
to.
guys agree with that?
Yeah, it's true, what we do.
Yeah, I mean, and that's really what we started with. It was like, we had this big conversation of what is it that we do? How do we tell people what we do? And we feel like that first sentence really captures that.
I tried to look at this as a parent trying to choose a school for my child. And I like the length of this because it really gives me a real good feel about what goes on.
All right, so it sounds like we're good with the now inclusion of supportive in the first sentence of the proposed mission. Do we need to do a motion to approve this?
I move that we adopted the proposed version of the vision and the mission statements.
I second. All those in favor?
I
Opposed? The motion passes to accept the vision and mission statement as proposed.
Thank you, everybody, for all this comment.
Thanks, Joel.
Now, one thing we found out at the meeting on Monday, Christy mentioned that, this will go to, the, reauthorization paperwork, but we can't publish it until next school year, correct?
Right. So it goes along with our charter renewal.
Yeah, so the charter renewal
Okay, that's good to know.
is, yeah.
But where does that go?
Yeah, so if you don't see it for a while, that's the reason.
All right, that's it for the strategic planning committee.
Thank you for all your work.
Thank you all.
All righty, we're going on to new business. As Erin said, we've reached a point where we will need to remove Mariposa as president of the governing council due to health-related issues, but we're not removing her from the governing council. Is there anything else that you would like to say, Christy or Erin, about?
Yeah, I mean, I've worked very closely with Mariposa over since she's been president. It is part of the So, that's, the president is my first contact person when anything comes up to the school, and she has always been so responsive, so incredibly intelligent and level-headed, and is able to clearly see through situations, come up with a plan of action in a way that feels manageable. She's always been so incredibly supportive of the school, and I'm just so incredibly grateful for all of her work, and her knowledge and expertise is just truly incredible. And it truly breaks my heart that we have to do this. It's really, really unfortunate, but I also know that she's had a lot on her plate, and being president was something that she said she would do, but would need a lot of help to do it. I don't know if you all remember that conversation. And even with everything else that she was juggling, she would still manage to show up and be here for us as a school. And I'm very grateful for that. It's, I don't think she'll be too sad about having to lose the role, but I'm sad to lose her in that role. It's, I just really just want it known that it's not, we're not doing this because there was a failure on her part in any way. And I just want to make sure that it's clear that, we want her to take care of herself and want her to be able to focus on just getting better.
And yeah, obviously, if her health returns quickly, which we are all rooting for 100%, the position is hers again.
Absolutely.
Since we just can't burden her for one day longer with all the stuff. All right, with that, I will move that the council removes Monty Fosa via Savage as the president of the governing council. But keep her in position as a member of the governing council due to the health-related issue.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes to remove Mayor Fosa Padilla Sivich as president of the governing council due to health-related issues, but to have her remain on the general council as a member.
And so you'll know, Ms. Kristen and I are actively working to try and reach out to her family and Fosa's friends. And if there's anything we can do to help, meals, anything like that, we'll let you all know. We want to try to find a way to support her if we can.
I do know where she is right now, and I am going to be sending flowers or a plant or something just to maybe cheer her up. So if anybody wants to contribute to that, just see me after the meeting and we can get it organized.
Okay. Item B on new business is special election of officers. And I'm not exactly sure, that we kind of left that ambiguous.
Yeah, I think since we weren't really sure what would happen at this point, obviously we need to fill the president role, so that's the priority.
Yeah, so obviously, we didn't know how the officers might shift, so we wanted to give ourselves as much room as possible. I personally have been having conversations with people as the week goes by, just to kind of fill people out. Obviously, as vice president, Pat would be next in line to see to ascend to the throne, if you will. And so, I had conversations with her, and I'll let her speak for herself. But it is a big job, and honestly, want to discuss who might want to fill it.
I try to be really easy to work with.
And after the discussion, do we have to do a nomination, or how does it work in this?
Yes, that's typically how
Is
it
there a
works.
discussion, or should I make a nomination?
Well, let me give you some background first, on my, position right now. For the last 5 months, my husband's been going through some health issues. And the latest one was last week. Prior to that, a week before that, he had a TIA. I think you all have heard, you know, TIAs are, they're like mini strokes. Well, he had an acute stroke last week. And he's now out of the hospital, but he's going to be involved in speech therapy, physical therapy, occupational therapy, twice a week for each one of those. And I was concerned when Aaron and I talked, and Christy and I talked too, that because of the requirement of maybe meeting with the AKCS school board or for the site visit or whatever, that I would not be available. We've had some difficulty, as I'm sure you all understand, getting doctor's appointments. And so once you get them, you can't cancel or postpone because you might get down to another 3 to 4 months or whatever. So that I really had to think long and hard. It was very upsetting for me to tell Christy and Aaron that I just don't think that I can do it because it's right now we're in a position where there's so much happening and so many appointments and this sort of thing that I'm just not sure that I can meet those obligations. So I would, and I said in my letter, I said, I'll probably second guess myself. Well, I'm already second guessing myself about it. But I just think that it's just better that I don't move up to president. For everyone concerned. Not just me and my family, but you know, for the school. Because it's such a place right now, critical place. If we weren't up for
Renewal.
charter renewal, then it would be a different story. And Mariposa and I have worked closely together this last school year, and so I know a lot about what is going on in that position. But there's so much other, meeting with Sue, and those types of things that I just can't commit to that because I don't know what my schedule is. So. You still want to make a nomination?
Understand?
Are you gonna self-nominate?
No. No.
I thought that's where you're going.
That's it too.
Oh, that would be our top choice, number one. Mine, for sure, but understandable for all those things, good. And the site visit is like a showstopper. There's no wiggle room out of that, anything.
And so Pat, are you still good to remain as vice president?
Yes.
And that's part of the other thing we have to decide, is do our current officers need to change around, and that's why we need.
No, and I'll still, do the agenda and the things I've been helping her also with, but my concern is those meetings. And we're still at the juncture right now where the occupational and speech therapy appointments have not been confirmed. And Murphy's Law says it'll happen on one of those days. That's the way it is. That's the way my life has been recently. So.
What days are those meetings?
It's on Christie's report.
Yeah, the big one is the site, the charter renewal site visit. That's where we have to do a huge presentation to a lot of different people who then are the ones who then make the recommendation about whether or not we should be renewed. That is on October 7th. And outside of that, I'm not sure what other commitments will be coming. I know that there's a recommendation meeting at some point after that. Typically, we then have to present to the APS board directly. I don't know when that's going to be. Those are just the things I know right now.
My recollection of having done this process before, well, our last renewal, I was president at that time. And it was different, it was less involved,
COVID.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But was it even a little before COVID? I think we still did it in person.
No, it was online because it was in.
So I'm thinking the renewal before that. That's how old I am. How long I've been around. And we just had to go to the APS meeting. We didn't have these types. Site visit things, at least not that, the GC president had to attend.
And at this point, this nominee would finish out Mariposa's term, which is this next year? Or
Way-
is it
The way I would look at it is, so she would have another year on her term. So as of today, she'd have a year and a month. By the time this new president would take effect, which would be effective starting the September meeting, there would be 1 year, because that's when our annual meetings anyways in September. So you'd be finishing the year of your term. And frankly, what I'd also envision it is, like I said, if she comes back and gets healthy as quickly as we hope she does, and she wants to jump right back in, I'd even say, if she's ready and wants it back, that this person, it would be the shorter of the two things, her return or the end of her term.
I just to let you guys know, in the two, because I've worked with several different presidents at this point, and if an issue arises at the school, I contact the president then kind of determines we work through meetings or with the attorney, or depending on what the issue is, and then try to make like a plan of action in terms of how we're gonna handle it through meeting agendas. Erin, you've been president. I don't know if there's anything you wanna share in terms of like what that role
Yeah,
looks
just
like.
be available to the head administrator, at any moment. Because you never know what's gonna happen. I mean, school lockdowns, threatened lawsuits from parents.
Yeah.
Injuries on playgrounds, you just kind of never know what's gonna come up. And then just close collaboration throughout the normal one, as they're putting agenda items together. It's really, just answer yourself on in all times.
You already have Aaron on speed dial, right?
I have you all on speed dial. You all reach out to me to say, do you have so-and-so's contact information?
We had initially thought that maybe Mariposa could just take the leave of absence. And then come back in October, but, I think Erin, you
Her health
decided
situation's been changed since then.
that but not only that, but just based on our bylaws and.
Yes, based on our bylaws, we have to have somebody in place. And just, you guys may or may not know, I've known Marty for 23 years now. And she was one of my mentors / tutors in law school.
She's gonna ask if you were the same.
Brilliant lawyer. Yeah, she's a year ahead of me. She's just a brilliant lawyer, and she hasn't been to work in nearly a month. And so knowing what her and I do for a living, I can only imagine how she's fine. Not only is she letting her family down, she's got a daughter starting college, but she's can't be there for her clients and practice law as long as we have, that becomes part of her identity is serving their clients' needs. And so even when she does get back enough and able to do things, she's gonna have a lot of practice, but it's gonna be in smolder, so that she's gonna have to try to pick up. So to pretend is what I would call it, to pretend that she's gonna be right back into anything anytime soon. It's not right. And so we don't even wanna, we don't wanna even stress her out with the idea of, can we get an idea when you're gonna come back? You know, nothing like that. What we want to tell her is unplug fully, we got it. And so,
I know that you and Christie spoke with me about it. Have you spoken with any other board members?
when I was trying to figure out who's gonna be here, I talked to Rhonda as well, see if she's gonna be here. Rhonda knows a ton about the school. She has, you know, obviously been our business manager, she's been, you know, around the school. She's been to more board meetings, probably than all of us put together. Cause she's not only been during her entire working career to everyone of our board meetings, but also the other schools she business managed, of course, and all their good. So she knows board functioning inside and out. She is very overwhelmed in life right now too. It's, and that's why she couldn't be at this meeting. Her work's got her very, very, very far on right now. So she made that pretty clear.
Very quiet.
Right now, you're in charge, Pat.
So what,
And
what,
with
like, just to,
decisions, I know it has to be a decision quickly. And if there was not a decision tonight, there would possibly be the need for a special meeting or definitely at the September meeting. I don't know that we can
Well,
get that long.
there are,
Okay, here we go.
here we go. September 4th is the renewal check-in visit. That's before our next meeting.
Yeah, and I don't think the board needs to be here for that. I don't think anybody,
Nothing for the check-in.
no, that was more just to inform you kind of what's happening. It's a renewal process.
But since the application is due on October the 1st, you would like to have someone that you can run things past and
The bigger issue is if something comes up through the school. I mean, I don't think legally we can operate without a president. Like, I think, and of course, I'd have to pull the bylaws to read it again, but my understanding is that is one of the positions that has to be filled.
Legally and practically. We don't wanna be.
so let me ask you a question for, I think, are we including, you already served, but
Yeah.
I guess the questions are like, what are people's reservations? So I'll go first with my, can we just not make Dave?
you know, they say you get volunteered if you
What is my part?
What's the practicality of getting a hold of Dave in Vietnam or wherever he travels to?
So I think it'd be good to go through reservations for the people that would be out, because there's only a few of us now. So for me, I'm hard to get a hold of. I mean, the email at work stuff can work. You know, if I'm at my desk, I can pick it up. But there's a lot of times like I'm not there, and I'm not there the entire day. So if something comes up during the day, there really isn't any way to get a hold of me. On the other hand, you know, I don't know if when you're saying you need to get a hold of somebody, that means it has to be during the day, or you can call them after 5 or 6. Is it?
You know, I work a lot and I'm willing to talk to anybody at any hour of the day.
But still, I don't think us, well, I know that you know, Aaron, but I don't think us three understand. When you say there's a school lockdown or there's something that's happening, how fast do you need to get a hold of the person?
Usually in those situations, it's to inform you,
Yeah,
not for you to make a decision. Right, so it's more like, hey, just want this on your radar, this happened, so if you start getting emails from parents or things coming up or we're in the news, you know what's going on. Right, so usually it's like just to inform you, I can't think of a single situation where it's like, I need to speak to this person immediately.
Right.
Usually it's like, I can text you, get you a message and say, hey, can you call me? There's something that I need to let you know about, so we can figure out how we need to proceed.
Right. So that's, yeah, that was one part that worried me. I mean, the other thing is, I mean, meetings during the day, like that's, if there's stuff like that that was gonna happen, probably for you as well, you'd have to know in advance to be able to take that time off, because even if you throw time off on your calendar, sometimes people will try to pull you into stuff. And so as far ahead of warning as possible would be needed.
Yeah, I think that the things that come up during the day would be if we need to meet with the school attorney. Because of course her hours are gonna be limited to business hours. She doesn't do evenings and things like that, so then it would be scheduled in advance. Typically though, when it's something that involves the attorney, it's something that needs to be dealt with within a short period of time, because we need answers, because we have to like start making some decisions, because there's a lot of timelines attached to things. So usually it's like it could be that something happened that day, I'm informing you in that evening, and then I'm sending an email to the attorney to see, can we get something scheduled for the next day? Is usually how that goes.
And Aaron, what did you feel the time commitment was?
It's variable. I mean, there's times where it takes a ton of time, just if something's going on, if something big is happening at the school, if there's a problem, basically.
Like a ton of time is like 16 hours a month, 8 hours a month.
On the busiest ones, yeah, it could be up to 10 to 20 hours a month. And then on the normal ones, phone calls and everything, probably sub 10 hours a month. Okay.
I can say in the last 6 months, I haven't had to reach out to Monty Posta hardly at all. And then there were times when we had, 2 years ago, I was reaching out to her almost daily because of some things that were happening at the
Right.
school that we dealt with in the executive session.
I remember that, and I was thinking, I'm sure that it's turned up me. You guys are doing special committees and everything, huh?
So, yeah, so then, I mean, there's times when it's like really, really intense, and then there's times it's just super quiet, and you can never predict it.
Yeah. So my reservations are you being able to get a hold of me. The time commitment piece, I mean, that's just something you work into your schedule. But you know how hard it is to get a hold of me, and so that's my reservations, so. If you want, either of you two wanna go next?
To me, it's time commitment. I have felt in the last year that the time that I would want to contribute and make sure to be a part and be active in, like, I just don't, I think that sometimes I feel like, oh man, did I prepare for this enough that I did? So to me, I've already felt like I've been better in just my normal board role. So to add that, is extremely scary, because I mean, when it comes to what this group of people in school doing, so for me, it's the time commitment thing. But I already got like that kind of in it does, so.
Well, you shouldn't feel that way. You haven't.
Active on committees and that kind of stuff, and especially with Jenny around, what's she doing? So they got Jenny on the phone.
We can get her back and tell her, oh, we have a book for you.
She's
I
really
can text her and
involved.
let her know she's been nominated.
So that's it, is my thing is that it's the time commitment, because I've already felt like, I just would definitely want to not let this group down and sit down.
You wouldn't let us down.
From a practicality standpoint, I mean, I know I'm not on the board, none of this is, I'm just trying to help inform you guys is all I'm trying to do. If Dominic or Fabian take on that role, then we have to think about a check signer. because then they would, neither one of them, that person would no longer be able to be a check signer, so then we have to think about who could step into that, because that is something that happens pretty frequently, that we're needing checks signed.
And that whole process with bank and signing, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's not unbearable, I mean, it's doable, I mean, we do it fairly regularly, so but it's just to put that on somebody's radar that if they do that, you may have, and you can't be check signer because you're treasurer, so then somebody else would have to step.
So I probably have similar reservations, probably more so to you, Dom. But it sounded like it's more reasonable than I thought it'd be, because I know, like, I've come here recently, like at 6 p.m. to sign checks, and it's might not have been the most timely thing that we would have, or ideal thing, but it worked. I was able to get here. I too can go through spells in any given day where, like, my wife can't even find me.
Right.
It's just the nature of the job, but it isn't like the everyday thing. The other is that, but I'm guessing all of us have this in our own way, that as leaders, we tend to overextend our bandwidth. I'm guessing all of us do that. I know I do. I've just been wrapping up a very large reorganization project at Sandia that I still need to wrap up just within my own team, not with including the whole division that I've been working with. So there's like some of that feeling of exhaustion right now. My probably bigger reservation is the fact that I still know very little compared to the rest, but here's how I kind of see that too. In my job as a senior manager, my job isn't to be an expert. My job is to surround myself with people who know way more than I do and are more capable at doing things than I am. And in a way, I kind of see it is possible to handle that role in that way, because I would probably need to bring other strengths to bear. Like, I can run meetings, I can get people together, I can make a team work very efficiently. It'd probably be a bit of a different style than folks are used to. At times, it would probably be more of just kind of being the face of the council. But I know, I might, if I don't know things, I'm pretty good with discernment and using my gut to decide things, even if I'm not quite sure. Plus, there's a whole crew of folks who could help. But I think if I were to do that, I would just rely on folks, but that's kind of what I do for a living anyway. I think I could probably make the time work, but like, you all would have to be good with someone who still hardly knows much compared to the rest of you, and just be able to work with me on that. I'd be willing to, but yeah, I mean, you know what you're getting there in terms of my knowledge base and things like that.
Fabian, I think you'd be excellent, man. You're very responsive.
Try it.
I'm quiet.
I see these check emails come from Christy and this email get here.
And I think we've all been very impressed by what you've added to the governing council in the less than a year that you've been with us.
Just got another question. Are there duties that the president typically does that can waive, go from a 10 to 20-hour week that people can help them out with?
And that's not part of what I was wondering too. Like, depending on how things go with Mariposa, like, could this kind of be done in a little bit of maintenance mode? Where, like, you attend to the more high priority urgent stuff, but not everything has to be done.
Let Aaron.
To the extent or the quality that I think y'all are used to, or you would do yourself?
No, unfortunately, and that's part of the reason we had this, the removal and jumped on it as fast as we did, is especially in the charter renewal period. There's going to be a ton to do with that. And then just the everyday stuff you have to keep moving. So what I did is when I took over from the person before me, I realized that there's, the way my mind works is that there need to be kind of templates. And so set up some templates about things that need to be done. And if you go to look at the templates, you realize about every month, there's something fairly big that needs to be done in terms of self-evaluation, administrator evaluation, elections, just they usually come up about once every month.
But they could delegate out the self-evaluation, like, hey, can you do?
You can absolutely get help with that, and you can, rely on your executive team, to help you out with that. Secretary, treasurer, you can put it up to.
They rely heavily on the bylaws and policy manual.
Yeah, and then they set out a lot of the things that need to be done, and then Jenny, she's so organized, she didn't need help from anybody. I don't know how much she relied on some of the template stuff I'd set up, and I don't know how much she passed on to Monty Post and how much she's used it, but
think Emily,
Yeah.
that they were really good templates. I would say that have been carried forward in different things that it brings on.
Yeah, and I've given it a lot of thought personally. I stopped being president for a reason, because I thought that new blood on the board was a good thing. And especially in leadership is I wanted to see, because the people were saying, hey, you're gonna do it again, right? And I sat down and we got Jen, which may be like the best president I've seen in my term, in my tenure. And so it's only reinforced my decision as to why new blood on board is good. Being kind of an emergency situation we're in, I would be willing to do it if you guys wanted to, if there was any big concerns. I do know the job. I know Christy really well, we work well together. But, if I did, I would be very clear with you guys that it would be for the term only, and it wouldn't be, we're gonna be in the same exact position in next September. It's gonna come faster than everybody knows. And so I want everybody to really, start doing any succession planning, training, anything you wanted to do. And so, give it a little bit of thought. By the way, my wife hates the idea.
Does she like those?
So all we gotta do is buy his wife flowers?
There you go.
Get certificate to a spot.
Certificates, we getting gifts every month.
We can do that.
And obviously, my hope of whoever does it would be that we could hand it back to a healthy Marty Costa, and I don't think she's gonna be up and running for 3 or 4 months at a minimum. In terms of, I hope her health improves within a month, but in terms of picking up the pieces in her life, I think
And honestly, 1 year, the night could be different, very different, and things that will steady out.
They better be,
So,
because I can't live like this.
well, and obviously, we're hoping for Mike too. Hoping there's speedy recovery for him.
they don't think they do a good job, but if Aaron is willing to do it for 1 year, that would be my nomination.
I hear you.
And I'm second your nomination.
I make a motion. Motion to nominate Aaron, to fill the remaining portion of Monty Costa's term as president of the government council.
Or until her return.
Or until he retires.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Aaron will step in. For the remainder of the term.
Thank you, I think.
Thank you.
Crystal does not thank you. I was just.
She like.
So is everybody else comfortable in their current positions? The only position we go up.
Okay, so we can move on. To self-evaluation, and this has been postponed for quite a few meetings. Am I to assume that we're gonna postpone,
I don't know anything about it, so that was money plus stuff, so I'm assuming it's probably not ready.
after our last meeting. Excuse me, she said to expect it. Emailed to us, but. I didn't see it.
Yeah, what was that, which tells me it was probably on her to-do list and it's now falling on my to-do list.
Do you want me to do that?
If you could.
Yeah.
Mark, I know.
I just dodged the bullet, so I will.
Because I really think that.
Yeah, I'll be the mark.
When it. Wired.
Yeah, and I don't know, I mean, as far as anything that I have to report on for the governing council, I don't think this is a piece I've ever had to report on, so so it's probably more about our own policies, I would imagine.
It's our policies and best practices. It's, let me tell you, when I started on this governing council, we did not do that. And I went to a lot of trainings and they said, this is a good idea, so I put one in place. And it's only been improved since then. So it is best practice, something we should do, and I think something's helpful to do every year, so. Kind of like along one of the questions is, or can we go into limp mode and only do certain things? My thing is, let's try to keep as robust as ever, that way something doesn't ever fall off.
So Dominic, you'll.
But do we have to put these, so that we can do a survey?
Yes.
And if we do the survey, do I have to distribute it at this meeting or can I distribute it
Email, right?
via email?
Yeah,
Just-
email.
And see if we can get the results before the next time we meet or.
We can talk about it a little bit. I wasn't highly involved in it in the past, but Dropbox, Google survey, that type of thing.
It should be in the Dropbox.
Okay.
Yeah. And, you know, I don't think we need to reinvent the wheel this time.
Absolutely not.
You know, I know we've constantly been working to improve that survey for evaluation process, which is good, which always trying to improve. I don't think now it's necessary to kind of reinvent it. You can get your hand on last year's, take a look at it. We trust your discretion. If it looks good, we do it. If you don't think there's anything that needs to be taken out of it.
The only thing I would look at is any questions where you have like polar opposite, like always and never, because the wording of that question might have been wonky.
Yeah.
And so that would be that any recommendation for this year.
We did discuss that.
Is there a couple of questions that
yeah.
either it's just somebody who has to not always or something where they just didn't want that. But I think that would be the only concern that we expressed in last year's surveys, is that the wording had been.
And do you have Google survey or Survey Monkey skills?
I mean, I haven't figured it out.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
I got ChatGPT.
You might be able to stick it in there and it can give you a couple of suggestions.
Fix the word, fix the wording.
Fix the wording, or, you know, maybe thought about this or another question. Next is the audit committee report and action on certification of verification of fixed asset list. That was something that, Chrissy wanted added. She sent that to me when I was working on the agenda.
I can cover that one back.
Okay, good. I was gonna say,
Although after all of that private business, this one seems a lot less important, and I think I may have overpaid. That not heavy. But we've only got good news for you. It was about, what, 2.5 months ago now, we did the annual inventory review. You probably heard why we just sitting it down. This was 2.5 months ago. But I've got a good news story behind that. We actually found, inventory item fairly recent. But we found most of them the day we went to do it. We got some follow pictures the week after that, and one of them is kind of hiding behind stuff. There you go. Thank you, Christie. So, but we sampled 30 items during our inventory. I guess I'll probably give you a little bit more background. It's an inventory and a fixed asset. So any capital fixed assets, building improvements, things of that nature, we got to put our eyes on. So we do it once a year, and it's usually towards the end of the year. So we have confidence closing out the fiscal year before the audit and moving into next year. Yeah, we've got good procedures. I can tell you, last 4 years, it has improved immensely. That's why I was asking about that WAS system earlier, but that's the inventory system. And even with that system, the improvements that Laura has made to track every piece and assign it to the room and assign it to the person and make sure the asset tags are right, it is substantially better than when we really got into this 2 years ago. So yeah, we found all 30 items out of 118 items total. We selected a random sample. I did also pull kind of a secondary sample. There was 80 computers and iPads that were had a notation in the system which is unusable. And talking to LeBron and the reporter, Marcia. They keep them for parts, and sometimes they get kids working with the parts. So sent them that list, and you'll probably remember the month after, I think it was 6/18, and actually a couple weeks afterwards, you guys were asked to sign off on dispositioning some assets. They basically cleaned up all of those unusable computers, and you guys approved the disposition. There was a 2 years in a row, we had talked about tech tubs, which are perfectly good pieces of equipment. They just didn't seem to be used very highly. They were $250 pieces of equipment, and with chargers and cords and all that. The teachers just didn't seem to find them convenient. They were charging on their desks, the tables, cameras and stuff. So all that to say, we didn't throw them in the trash. At least I don't think so, right, Christie? They were just taken out of inventory.
Right, exactly.
They don't walk away, they're not highly susceptible to misappropriation. So we just took them out of the record. So I think that was a good move on behalf of the council, the administration and the council. All right, you can go to the second page up there, Vivian.
How do you choose what you can take out of inventory?
The board, ultimately would have to vote on it.
I mean, we voted on it, but how do you know what you have to add?
You can choose what to put into inventory and you can choose what to take out. If it's just not something you use, it kind of gets to this next section we have up here. Every time we do this, we sit down in the audit committee and it's always about all of the administrators. Sit down and discuss this and what else are we buying? What else is valuable? What else would be most likely to walk out the door? We used to have radios. I think radios are a lot less common than cell phones. At some point, maybe all the radios get taken out of the inventory. We have other high value. For me, the import, very expensive, very big. I'm guessing they don't walk out the door too often. They don't fit in your car. So we can have those discussions as we go.
Like quality thresholds, is it like a hot item that could walk away?
Anything over 5,000 most certainly has to be, and that's our capitalization threshold. So that most certainly has to be capitalized, and if you're capitalized, you need to put it in inventory. But I guess we could make an argument not doing that, but I don't think we would.
And Dominic Laurent's also been doing a good job when she's working on computers. If they really aren't fixable, she's been making notes in inventory. That's how he was able to identify like which ones really aren't usable anymore. Because she's been making notes on just what's not functional.
So in terms of the board, I'm deciding to put an inventory or not. It's an internal control. It's how much do we think as a board that we want to make sure that controls the board. Yeah, and more than likely, you probably get a recommendation from Laura, business manager, administration, something like that. Say, hey, we're buying some of these. I think we should put them in inventory. But as a board member, when you walk around the school, you see a couple of valuable things out there, and
Mhm.
Are these ever inventoried or those looked at? It's a fair question. I mean, you can inventory something that's $100 if you're worried that it's gonna walk away from you. So yeah, just because we inventory it doesn't mean we capitalize on our books. It just means we decide that we want
Keep
to
track.
put our hands on it once a year, more often than need be. So to that point, we updated our capitalization policy. This is brought to our attention by the auditors last Odyssey. Right?
It was.
So, the way current accounting standards are being interpreted, if you have an aggregate purchase of items that aren't otherwise capitalizable, $300 Chromebooks is a perfect example. But you buy 200 of them at once and they exceed a certain amount, that you should capitalize. They used to call it like initial compliments, where you're setting up a inventory worth of things. You would have to capitalize it. It doesn't really change what we're doing for inventory, but I thought I would point this out to the board. If you ever see $75,000 more in the finance committee, I know you would see it in the finance committee, make sure you ask that question. They definitely look at assets that we capitalize. We haven't ever hit that threshold. In fact, we talked about it in finance committee meeting today. Is that the right number? How did we come up with that? Should it be higher or lower? I think at this point, that's probably the number. Physical presence of capitalized fixed assets. This is one of the big reasons we started doing this procedure. And these are the things that would get capitalized, and these are the things that could get us audit findings if we don't properly capitalize them. So we only had 2 and 15, the play structure and parking lot. You can see by everything that's going on out there now, we're gonna have a lot more of these next year. Playground and all that. So anybody else who was there have anything else to add? I think, I feel very confident, especially after the 3 years in a row, that, doesn't mean things are gonna be missing. If that last iPad wouldn't have shown up in the last few days, I probably would have given you the same report. Because, thinking about loss at places like Target, I think the average loss is 3 to 4%. I bet we experienced less than 1% here. You know, other than stuff right there, like as far as just losing it, kids walking off with it not coming back. We've got good control.
It was a good team. And Laura and Lauren, especially Lauren's first year doing this. I think
She's been cleaning it up even further.
You've been doing a great job, so
Mhm.
keep it up.
Well, and I went around and I was like, I am not comfortable having a missing item. I felt like a bloodhound. I did not want to have it, so we had a missing item. And yeah, so we found it.
It's not that iPad.
Pretty fast too. She called me, she's like, what's in the inventory? And bam, like a few minutes later.
I was fortunate, everybody was here, and
Oh,
so I talked to this person, okay, talked to this person, it's like, it was like a chain of custody situation. I mean, it's like,
Pass it off.
Yeah.
kind of, yeah, but it ultimately it was right where it was supposed to be. And, yeah, and I'll follow up with you.
Okay, like what happened with that? Okay.
But thank you.
I had to rewrite this report.
I'm sorry, Jason.
It was a good thing, I was happy to do your page for the half, plus I was doing that and giving myself the kind of class, so it's kind of good time. It worked out, so.
So our next step then is to certify the fixed asset list. May I have a motion to certify?
So move, and why don't you add it in
Mhm,
the inventory, that's,
mhm,
Fixed asset list and inventory.
mhm.
so move.
I have a second that.
All those in favor? of
Aye.
Certifying the verification of fixed asset list and inventory, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Was opposed? Motion passes. To certify the verification of the fixed asset list and inventory. Next item is removal of audit committee member, and I didn't add that one, so I don't know.
Jason, do you want to talk about that? Is that a committee chair or do you want me to?
Why don't you go ahead, because don't work with last name.
Okay, so, the audit committee is required to have a parent member, that, so it just has to be any parent in the school, as long as they have a child attending, it doesn't have to be anybody with a finance background. It just needs to be a parent, and so we've had a parent member on the audit committee for the last 3-ish years, maybe. And that individual no longer has children attending school here. And so that person can no longer serve as the parent member of the audit committee. And so we need to officially remove that person. And then I have actually talked to some parents and have been able to find a volunteer to fill that role. And that person is Jordan Russell, who was our previous PE teacher. So she taught here for many, many years. She now, she left education, is doing something else and is able to, but still is connected to the school. She has a child who attends the school right now. And so she is willing to step into that role. But we really do need to, fix this, because now we're in this weird space where we have somebody named as the parent member, but they're no longer a parent.
And it's a statutory requirement.
Yes, it is.
So are we removing that person, or are they just not qualified to hold that position anymore?
I guess it would be fair to say, I don't know that I've met the person.
So definitely removing him.
If this person wanted to stay in the audit committee because they just loved the audit committee and wanted to contribute as much as possible, then we could just add a parent. But I get the sense this person has lost interest in the process and.
Okay, so, sorry, my question is, we're on the agenda to remove, but can we also nominate at the same time?
So what we're gonna,
Remove only.
what I'm gonna recommend is, because we need the board needs to remove. The president has the authority to appoint. And so what I'm gonna recommend is that as soon as we remove the first one, is that Pat as acting president appoints the new person, and that gets recorded in the minutes. And that way we have minutes reflecting that the president did act and appoint a new member.
So we have a motion then to remove
Oscar Martinez.
Oscar Martinez
As the parent member.
as a parent member of the audit committee.
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes to remove Oscar Martinez from the audit committee. And as acting president of the governing council, I will appoint
Jordan Russell.
Jordan Russell to take Oscar's place
Or parent member.
as the parent rep.
And I will second that.
So you're making that, you're the,
She doesn't have to move, she can just move this one, okay.
what was the person's name? Russell?
Jordan
Jordan
Russell,
Russell.
2 S's, 2 L's.
Who does the website?
I'll update it.
And who should notify him that it's now official?
It's another person.
Chairperson?
Or
Or
Jordan.
Jordan, yeah, the chairperson.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
happy to. Would you-
All right.
Okay. Good.
All right. Next item is discussion and action on revision to purchasing section of AKCS's financial procedures manual.
I can start with that one. I shared this with the finance committee a little bit earlier. So let me just get to do this there. So we had a situation come up the very first week of school where one of our HVAC units went out. And called the company, they came out, they looked at it, they said the compressor went out. because of the age of the unit, it's estimated that it's well over 20+ years old. They recommend it's to replace the unit, but because the cost of replacing the compressor, it was not that much different to replace the compressor or replace the unit. So we went, it was about $12,000 to replace the unit. I think it was like, I'm gonna say 8,000 or 9,000 to replace the compressor. So both items were over $5,000. And according to our financial procedures, anything over $5,000 requires 3 quotes. Well, getting 3 quotes from HVAC companies at this time of the year is not an easy task. And so then we were in a little bit of a pickle where now we have a K1 classroom, the first week of school with temperatures in 100 degrees outside, a teacher brand new to the school, no reasonable place. I mean, this teacher has already spent all this time setting up her space, and then to have them relocate, we're talking little kinder and first graders. I mean, it was not a good situation. So, but based on our procedures, I had to get a hold of 2 other companies to try to come in and to give us quotes. One company said they would come out, they never showed. They made an appointment, they never showed, never called back, nothing. Second company came out about a week later. They were able to schedule us. It took a week to get an appointment just to get them here. They show up, and then I was told, well, we'll have a quote to you in a few days. And in the meantime, the first company that we got the quote from, which is the company who told us what the issue was in the first place and what their recommendation was, is the same company that we've worked with for years and years and years. And they told me, we can have a unit scheduled for Friday. We can get the crane scheduled, no problem. Friday morning, we can knock it out. I didn't get the quote from the third company until Wednesday. So, I mean, it was just like this.
The following Wednesday.
No, the Wednesday before the Friday that the first company said they
That was
haven't
more
done.
expensive.
And it was more expensive. Their quote was more expensive. So, never did get the third quote. Tried, we documented it, and then just made the decision that we have to move forward, because if we lose this window with the crane and this unit, then I don't know how much longer it's gonna be. And this is, you know, this is not a good learning environment for students at this point. And so we did make the decision to go ahead and move forward, get the unit installed. Well, in all of this process, we learned that the procurement code on direct purchases is now $20,000. So anything over $20,000 requires 3 quotes according to procurement code. We are still operating under the old procurement code where any direct purchase over 5,000 requires 3 quotes. So now we have our procedures that superseded procurement code and put us in a really big pickle. So, because I could have had that unit way faster had this not happened. So I'm proposing that we adjust our financial procedures to be in line with procurement.
So taking out something that says a specific dollar amount like $5,000 and just referring to whatever is approved in the procurement code. And potentially adding a section that would give some kind of authority to take emergency action. You know, if it was in the situation you attempted to get 3 quotes and follow the procedure, but if not, I mean, we've got an emergency situation.
Did you want to make a motion as chairman of the finance committee?
And before you do that, I would strongly recommend including emergency in that. That's super common business practice. Most would be to save things like tieback and sewer, those kind of things where you just don't have time to do that.
So I would make a motion to update the current procedure, not policy, procedure, to reference the procurement code when we have the different amounts, but also to include verbiage that allows gives authority to the head administrator or designee to act in an emergency situation.
And the reason this is coming to the board, it's not a policy, but you all do approve the financial procedures manual, which we actually did do in last month.
Yeah, it was last month.
Yeah.
I'll second.
All those in favor? to make the change to purchasing section of the financial procedures manual to reflect compliance with the current regulation and the ability to act in an emergency, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Hey. How did the kids survive even just a day in this heat?
Because we have this brand new, super incredible teacher who's super creative, and we made it work. We found locations for the afternoon when things were like really, really unbearable, right? The mornings they were able to manage to make it work, and then she made it kind of a game for the kids, and she would be like, she had a little water mister, and she would fill with water, and they would say if they wanted their face misted or their hands, and like, and they just thought it was the greatest thing ever, you know, and I'm sure the poor teacher though.
That's their side.
Yeah, it was quite toasty. The company was able to at least get the fan running, because initially the whole fan was down also, so there was no circulation. And then we were able to bring in some fans from other areas, some box fans, and then we had her keep her interconnecting doors, so we had these doors between each classroom. We had her keep that open so the air from the other room and then also the hallways, and it was warm. Not like it's not like it was dangerous, but it was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's move on to item G, which is discussion and action on standalone audit report. Did we not?
Yeah, that's Laura.
So I was reached out to by the auditors, because apparently this isn't very common anymore for charter schools that are under APS to have their standalone audit report anymore. Apparently it was there back in the day for bondholders, because when the APS charter schools were under APS and part of their report, the bondholders really wanted to see it separated. They didn't understand how it integrated into APSs. And it also cost a lot less back then. Now it costs $3,900 to do the standalone report. It's an extra 30 to 40 hours for the auditors and a little bit more for me as well. And we reached out, well, it was actually Ben. Ben reached out to our bondholder, well, the lady who helps guide us with all that. And she gave some guidance, but it sounded more like it was from the foundation side, and it wasn't clear if we could drop this and just do a combined report with APS, or if we should keep the standalone report if it's actually a requirement of our bondholder. And so I feel like it just wasn't clear, the explanation. I think it was a bit confusing that maybe on the foundation side, it's fine if they're under, but it wasn't clear if we could be this year. So I think this is something we need to delve into and look at, especially we're one of 5 schools that does this under APS. So it's not many schools doing it. And it seems like bondholders are okay with the combined one, but if it's in our paperwork, we need to do it. So we're trying to get clarification on that if we do need to continue this for future audits.
Yeah, the auditor said that, you know, typically this used to be a bigger issue with bondholders. It's
Yeah.
not as big of an issue
No.
now. Ben felt like it was probably fine to be under APS, but he did go ahead and reach out to the lady who kind of helps with all of the bonds. I agree with Laura, her response back to us was not clear. And we didn't walk away feeling like, yes, we should, or no, we shouldn't. And so I told Laura, I said, my thought at this point is to leave it as we've been doing it and to keep our standalone report. It will cost more to do it that way, but I would rather, until we have a much clearer picture about this, I think it's better to have that expense than it is to run the risk of running into an issue with our bonds.
And so make sure I'm understanding, we're talking about a standalone report for AKCS apart from APS, not a standalone report for the foundation versus AKCS.
It's both.
Okay.
So we already have a standalone report for the foundation, so we already have 2 separate reports, right?
And I remember at some point being told we had to do that because they were component unit or something.
Exactly. But in this situation, what we're looking at is a standalone report for both the school and the foundation separate from APS. So otherwise we could both the school and the foundation could be under APS.
And I'm not understanding, the standalone report, is that like an external auditing agency that we hire or something, or is?
It's the same auditors we're gonna have for this whole season. It's not
It's
anyone
broken
new.
down?
Yeah, it's just broken down to like AKCS's financials only. There are no APS's financials included in that. We're not like embedded into theirs. It's separate and just purely our school's information.
So we used to be part of like a several thousand page report, right? And then now, yeah, I remember those days.
Yeah, we've been doing this for 9 years, 8
Mhm.
years.
So right now you have both, you have combined and an APS?
I've never seen the APS
I haven't
one.
either.
I've only seen our standalone one on our end. Yeah.
I mean, we still have to roll up in there. I bet right now, we are rolled up in there. So I
Right.
can do that with how we, and they're still pulled up, but I
Right,
bet we're part of theirs, so we pay to have our own presentation.
with all the detail, yeah.
I mean, it's kind of handy in that we can see all of ours very clearly, uniquely. You don't have to go through a 1,400 page report or whatever they used to be, but it's not worth.
$3,900, yeah.
If we can get a definitive from our bondholders that we're fine, I mean, like, when we used to get findings under the consolidated report, we would have our own page with our own findings and our own unique issues and our own opinion. So, I mean, they would say if they had a compliance finding relative to us, they would put that in the big consolidated report. So it's not like you couldn't show a bondholder. We're part of the beast over here, and here's what they have to say about us.
So what action are you recommending, that you do some more research and find out?
Yeah, and we keep this good discussion maybe for,
I think so. I mean, I don't know if anybody else has thoughts on it, but I feel like until we have a very clear understanding from our bondholders, I don't feel like we can
Yeah.
do anything different.
yeah.
Okay.
Who did he talk to and how are they different than our bondholders?
She was Denise Doubleday. She's with Bank of Oklahoma. I think she oversees all our documentation. She helps us with the bond and lease documentation whenever we have
She's our
questions.
intermediary
I
with
think
bondholders?
so, if I understand that right.
Hit
Yeah.
that reply button, say, yes, we are required to have this, or no. we do not need to.
You look like
Yes or no.
You got a checkbox in it, like grade school.
Her response was pretty hefty. I think we'll have to work with Ben and
Yeah.
dissect that a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. But we do have a foundation planning meeting coming up, so
Okay.
we could bring it up at that time. So if you want to be at that meeting, we can talk
Yeah.
more about it. You don't have to be there for the whole meeting, but for that piece of it.
Yeah.
I think the reason we wanted it brought here was because if we wanted to take action about having being combined, that would be a change from what we're currently doing. It is an extra expense to have it as a standalone report, so we felt like the board would need to take action one way or the other, and then we didn't know if we would get a response back from Denise, and I think that came through late last night or
Yeah, it was
early this
yesterday.
morning or something like that, and then we weren't sure, so we put it on the agenda just in case.
Well, I heard you talking earlier before the meeting started that you thought maybe she didn't understand the question.
I wonder, because
And
it was so
that's-
foundation focused, the answer, and
Yeah.
it didn't really have a discussion about the school's part and all that, so.
Okay, so I'll make a note to put it on the agenda for
Yeah,
next time, or you
like that.
just.
So I think that's worth it. I hope we have an
When do our
answer.
auditors need to know yes or no?
Our meeting will be too late.
That,
Yeah.
we start September 5th.
So they-
Right side,
This'll be next
not
week.
on site, right? It actually starts the audit.
Right, Laura, just to clarify, I mean, if we get an answer by the time the September meeting rolls around, that's too late.
I would say
right?
so. We've already started rolling with things. Due dates, all of it.
So it sounds like this will be a next year issue. If they get back to us and say, then from next year forward, we can go to combine.
Now, that amount has already been budgeted, and so we'd rather be safe than sorry
Yeah.
this year.
Yeah.
If that
Go
clears
with
that
it.
no, that would save about 30.
Okay. So we don't have to take any action, we'll continue
Researching.
researching and clarification.
And the only other thing we could do, if we want to be fiscally responsible, is try to get clarification and answers, and we could hold a special meeting if need be. That would be the other option.
As in,
So I could put it out to the board, once we have clarification, and then you all can decide if you wanted to have a special meeting on it.
We could do that by Zoom, right?
Totally. I mean, we could do one of those things where it takes to be a 10-minute meeting,
Yeah.
where if we decided, because $3,900 is $3,900.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Especially since we're going to be adjusting our budget.
Mhm.
Yes, after the phase out.
I think last year audit cost $28,000. It's pretty hefty.
when Victor's pretty easy to work with.
Yeah, he's
Told
been
them,
amazing.
we're just trying to get the bondholders to confirm what you're telling us,
Yeah.
which is that they may not need it. The
Yeah.
minute we do, we'll have a meeting. and Save us
I
money.
didn't let him know.
All right, so H under section 9, discussion and action and vision of AKCS vision and mission statement, we already did that. Okay, do we have anything to discuss under executive session?
We do not.
Oh, so we're not going to adjourn for an executive session. All right, there being no other business, then we are adjourned at 8:10. Do I need a motion for that?
Technically, you don't, we do offer in the past, but technically, no.
Technically, I
Robert rules of order,
I belong to
you
some organizations where you gotta make a motion, but you really don't.
I mean,
have
you
to.
really don't. The chair has the authority to. adjourn.
Yes,